Well, hey, it's good to see everybody. We're back. Can't believe it. What a summer. It feels like you're excited. Good job, Sam. We're back, and it's been a fun summer. Hope your summer's been good with family and trips, vacations, or whatever you got to do this summer. Maybe it was an internship, part-time job, or maybe your full-time job because you're a full-time employee and you just worked all summer. Hope you got a break and you got to enjoy some summer. Yeah, you're excited too. Well, hey, I want to introduce myself. My name is Myron Jellison, and I get the privilege of leading, the Way Movement and being one of the teachers and communicators alongside of Ryan and Gabby as well. And so just want to welcome you. If I haven't met you, I'd love to meet you, get to know you, and you get to know me if you want. That'd be super cool. And tonight, what I wanted to do is, because we're back, a lot of new people, and it's been almost like 2.5 years since we've kind of started this thing, almost 3 years since we've started this thing. I wanted to kind of go back to ground zero and give us a little bit of the history, a little bit of the story, a little bit of the kind of conception of this idea and the vision that God gave us together as a team, and how you guys have really made the movement happen and really made the way what it is today. And so I just want to tell you the story. Before I do that, what we're going to do over the next, 5 weeks after tonight is we're going to dive into some of the biggest questions about culture. Some why questions, like why do bad things happen? Why is Christianity the one true religion? Why is science and Christianity not in opposition to one another? Why should we fear God? Why should we be reverent towards God? And all these really big questions that I think young people need to know, or you might be asking, or you may come in confrontation with somebody where you're asked, like, what do I really believe about these big kind of anchor rocks about my faith? And so over the next 4 or 5 weeks, come back, the why series, asking the big why questions. It's going to be a lot of fun. So we thought we'd start off the first night with why the way, and what is the way, and why should you be a part of it and commit to being an integral part of this group. And so it all started, the Vineyard Church is who we're under. We're under the authority of the Vineyard Church, and we're kind of, a sub-ministry of the Vineyard Church. And during one of our Sunday, services, a young girl named Elle Roberts, I don't think she's here, but Elle Roberts was in our service. And we have a Connect card, and this Connect card is strategically designed, and we named it Connect card because we want to connect with you. And so she filled it out, and she said, hey, is there anything for young adults? Is there anything for college students? And I'm the youngest one on the church staff by like 10, 12 years. So they looked at me and go, here, this is probably for you because you need to hang out with the young people. And so it came across my workflow, and I reached out to Elle and I said, no, we don't, but we will. And we're going to start it. And I need you to do it with me. And so I met with her up on campus at West Liberty, and I talked to her, and we dreamed about it. And I was like, you think you could bring some people? She's like, oh, yeah. I got 10 or 12 people I know I could bring. I was like, great. Couple weeks, we'll meet in my living room, we'll do a Bible study, and we grew from 10, 12, 18, 20, couldn't meet in my living room anymore because it wasn't big enough, so we went to the church basement, and we just got this momentum of young people hungry for truth, hungry for connection, hungry for purpose, and that was kind of the foundational moment to where we just started this group of gathering of young adults on the pursuit of truth, seeking connection with like-minded people, and finding some of the best friends they ever found in their entire life. And then there was this pivotal moment to where we rallied a group. We're like, hey, we're going to go to Passion, okay? And Passion is this young adult or college age, 18 to 24, 18 to 25-year-old, massive conference for the whole entire country to come together in Atlanta. We sold out Mercedes-Benz Stadium with 65,000. I say we like I'm on the team. We just went. But we were part of this 65,000 young people in Mercedes-Benz Stadium, worshiping Jesus, hearing great teaching from some of the best Bible teachers I think our country has to offer. And it was incredible. And we all came back from that inspired to do something big in our community. And we're like, hey, this little Bible study we got is great. It's 18, 25 strong. But man, there are hundreds, if not thousands, of enrolled college-age students or young professionals who need this message and connection like we found. And we can't grow if we stay in this kind of model. And so we came back from that hey, let's launch worship nights, let's launch activities, let's launch events, let's launch practical, scriptural, biblical teaching targeted to this demographic, and let's call it the Way Movement. And the reason we called it the Way, I don't know if you're familiar with the verse where Jesus says, I am the way, the truth, and the life. So it's a play off of that as he is our direction, he's our North Star, he is our example, and he is the one that we follow. And if you study the early church all through the book of Acts, after Jesus left, was killed, resurrected, and ascended into heaven, and he left his disciples here to build the movement of following Jesus on their own. You know what they called them? Take a guess. The Way. They called them members of the Way, or you're a part of the Way movement, or you're a part of the Way group. People who are different, you think different, you live countercultural, you're set apart. And so I wanted to reclaim and recapture the heart of Christianity through the young adults in Wheeling, West Virginia. I wanted to go back to the roots because if we're honest, we've had some bad experiences at churches. If we're honest, Christianity's got some very negative stereotypes attached to them of judgmental, hypocritical, fake, and maybe some of the biggest sinners that exist, but they pretend like they got it all figured out. So we wanted to recapture and reclaim the heart of Christianity, go back to the beginning, and be just like those radical, devoted followers of Jesus, members of the Way. And Jesus is our example, and his teaching is our truth, and we follow that unapologetically, and we're sold out on mission together as a unit of young people. And it's been beautiful. It's been crazy. Look at this. Look around. It's incredible to see just 2.5 years later. And not to mention, we launched this in February 2020. If you don't remember what happened in February 2020, March, country shut down, world shut down, we shut down, couldn't meet for a long time. And so we had a big gathering, 3 of them, then we shut down and everybody went their own ways, and COVID changed the very nature of our world. But now we're getting back into it. And you guys have stuck here. You've gone deep, you've connected, you're invested, and you're ready to make a difference here in Wheeling, West Virginia. And that's what this group's all about. And so I've done research, and I've shared this before, of at the heart of every movement or revolution is who? The young adults. Now, they're young adults by themselves running rampant with passion and energy is kind of destructive. You can see that. But when it's guided with wisdom and some leadership, and the old and the young, multi-generational come together, you can make a difference. And you look at the Martin Luther King movement, the civil rights movement, you look at the Great Awakening movements of Christianity becoming back alive, and all these people coming to know Jesus. It was the heart of the young people with passion, energy, and desire that was able to make those things happen. And so I looked around at Wheeling, and this was my sentiment for a long time, and this is what everybody told me about the Ohio Valley. They told me, they said, Myron, there's nothing for you here. There's nothing for young people here in the Ohio Valley. You got to get out, you got to explore, you got to get away. That's where opportunity is. So get the hell out of the Ohio Valley was the phrase that people would tell me all the time. Get the hell out of here, man. Nothing for you here. And so then I stayed. I went against the advice of many people. And I ended up getting employed at the Vineyard Church after I was on campus at West Liberty, got employed at the Vineyard Church. And then with all of this stuff about the young people and my heart for the young people and the heart for seeing a community transformed, I realized if we could rally the young people, we could make a difference in Wheeling that would transform the very nature and culture, both socioeconomically, politically, educationally, spiritually. Every facet of our community gets better when young people who love Jesus and are good people stay around, get married, have kids, raise families, get involved and plugged in with occupations. That's when the very nature and culture of Wheeling, West Virginia, the Ohio Valley, will change. And so then my sentiment became, instead of getting the hell out of the Ohio Valley, it's stay and get the hell out of the Ohio Valley. The darkness that exists here, the addiction that exists here, the pain that exists here, right? The boringness that exists here, there's nothing for you here that exists here, and it feels miserable, and people don't like it here, and it's a place that young people on the decline are not sticking around. Saying, let's stay and fight against that and transform our very culture to where young people want to stay. It's desirable for people to stay. And I'm here to tell you that it's working. I know many faces in this room who are like, no, I was ready to leave. But there's something unique about these people. There's something unique about what God's doing in this movement that I want to be a part of, and I don't want to miss out, and I see the future that is better, and I want to be a part of it. And I think young adults all across the country want to give their life away to something important. They want to live for something bigger than themselves. They want to have a purpose outside of just maybe 9 to 5, cash in a paycheck. They want meaning and significance. And I think you guys are finding it here, and that's what we're trying to accomplish. And so us together, united and reaching our campuses and inviting people like crazy to come and be a part, to taste what you have already tasted and seeing what you've already seen and experiencing what you are experiencing, this thing is going to explode. I believe it. And God's got something really special this year for us. So people are staying, lives are being transformed, people are getting baptized, people are becoming radical followers of Jesus. We are making Wheeling a more desirable place for young people, and it's because of you guys. Because you love Jesus, I know that about you, and you're willing to stick and drive in roots here and make a difference that will last longer than your lifetime. And so then it brought me to this idea, and I'll finish with this kind of illustration, and then we'll worship a little bit more, as I was thinking about this, Matthew 5, the Sermon on the Mount, one of Jesus' most iconic messages of all time, his biggest sermon, probably his biggest crowd ever. And he laid it out in Matthew 5, verse 13. He says this to his followers: those who are true wasters, those who are true members of the way, following him with every part of their life, he says this about them: you are the salt of the earth. But if the salt loses its saltiness, how can it be made salty again? Can't. It is no longer good for anything except to be thrown out and trampled underfoot. So think about salt. You guys know what salt does? One of its major chemical properties. What does it do? You guys know? What? Preserves, right? It's the number one preservative. Everything that you buy in a box, in a can, that's processed, that it lasts till like 2030, it's got salt in it, lots of salt. It preserves it. It keeps it from rotting. It keeps it from going to crap, keeps it from smelling and becoming unedible or not good at all in any way, shape, or form. And so he's calling you and I, you are the salt of the earth. You are the ones who will preserve life. You are the ones who will preserve my truth. You are the one who will preserve my design and intent for humanity. You are the ones who will preserve the goodness in our world. You are the salt of the earth. And I love that idea of we get to preserve something that God designed for us to experience. Because our world wants to rob it. Satan, the enemy, wants to rob it from us. He wants to steal it from us. He wants to make us anxious, depressed, worried, insecure, lovers of money. He wants to make us full of lust and sexual desires, running around, filling our appetites. He wants to rip us away from the truth of what God says is true about you. But we, unapologetically, radically devoted to Jesus, members of the way, can be the true salt of the earth, preserving his truth, preserving life, preserving the good that exists in Jesus. Because if we lose that, everything's going to rot. Everything's going to go to heck. And so we are the salt of the Ohio Valley. We're the ones keeping everything from getting worse. We are the ones that can shine in the light or shine in the darkness. And that's what he says in the next section. He says, you are the light of the world. A town built on a hill cannot be hidden. Neither do people light a lamp and put it under a bowl. Instead, they put it on its stand, and it gives light to everyone in its house. In the same way, let your light shine before others, that you may see your good deeds and glorify your Father in heaven. We're making light in Ogilvy right now. People driving by, people looking in, people asking what's going on. And then you start to get together maybe in smaller groups and doing Bible studies on your campus. People go, what's going on there? Or maybe we'll show up on a campus, or maybe they show up at the Ward and Run building, when we get there, when it starts snowing, because Gabby, we're not going to be out here when it's snowing. We're going to go to our building where it's warm, and you invite them and go, there's a light here. I'm welcomed here. I'm loved here. I'm accepted here. I'm at peace here. I'm finding joy here. I'm finding purpose here. We are a light in the darkness when it seems hopeless for young people, especially in the Ohio Valley where it feels bleak, and everyone's saying, get the hell out of here. But we're staying. We're in this. And we're pushing back the darkness. We are that light on the hill in Wheeling, West Virginia, with passion and energy and excitement for the future of what God's going to do in and through this people right here. Did I die? I'm back. And so then I thought about this other illustration of saltiness. Do you know what we don't do when we eat food? You know what compliment no one ever says about food? This has the perfect amount of salt. You know what they say? It's got way too much salt, or this could use some salt. And so what I want us to be is the perfect amount of saltiness. Because if I look around at other Jesus movements, sometimes some people are a little too salty. You know what I'm saying? Like a little over the top, maybe a little legalistic, pharisaical, judgmental, hypocritical. Those stereotypes that I mentioned at the front end, those exist. A little too salty. And then there's other ones who are not salty enough to where it's like, man, God is love and he just loves everybody, so you do you, and he's going to love everybody, and you just kind of have your own truth, and Jesus is my homeboy, and we're just good, and we're chilling like that. It's a little not salty enough. And so I want us to be the perfect amount of saltiness where we are truly preserving, and we got the best flavor in town. And people feel refreshed when they come and encounter and experience the true, authentic, genuine presence of God with young people their age and their demographic. And that's who we are. And that's why we exist. And that's why we are going to go hard this year, reaching students, reaching young adults, reaching young professionals in our community, making them aware and known of who they are, that they're loved, made by their Creator to be in relationship with their Creator, and we're going to do that together. And I hope you're in. The band can come up because we're going to sing a couple songs and we're going to worship. And while they're coming up, I encourage you, next week, come back. We're going to unpack for the next 4 or 5 weeks some really big why questions that you need to invite some people to engage in that conversation and to understand who you are, who God made us to be, and how you can have better conversations about what the truth is that you believe in. So let me pray for us, and then we're going to worship a little bit. Father, I thank you for Ogilvy Shelters. I thank you for this incredible venue. I thank you for all the people who were able to make this happen. And Lord, I thank you that you got all of us here. Father, every time that we gather, I have this sense of where none of us are ever here by accident. We show up and you get us here and you allow our schedules and it works and we come. And Father, I pray that you would not waste this moment. I know you won't waste this moment. You would draw us to yourself through these songs and through this worship. I pray we would have great, fruitful conversations, getting to know one another, learning each other's stories and backgrounds and our testimonies, and we can be strengthened and encouraged that we are all in this journey together. We're running this race together, and we got an incredible team of people who support us and cheer us on and love us and help us become everything, God, that we were made to become in your image. And so I thank you for the way, I thank you for what you're doing here. And God, I pray for this year. I pray that you would just bring so many people to know you, Jesus, through our efforts. I pray that lost people would be found, and people would be healed and set free of all the shame and guilt and baggage and anxiety and depression and insecurities and fear and addiction that they're in, that people would be set free, Father. That we would show up in their lives and be the true light shining in the darkness, pushing it back to where lives are radically transformed through you, Jesus. So thank you for this night, and be with us as we worship. And I pray this in Jesus' name. Amen.